Okay. Awesome. Meg, are we live? No, not yet. We have like a 10-second delay, right?
Oh.
It takes a second. Okay. So we're just waiting for the pictures to go live, right? We should have some like music. Ooh, we lost Meg. There she is. Are we live? Ugh. Let's see.
Yeah. Can you hear?
Oh, hold on. Okay, we're live. Awesome. Yay. Hi, Leslie. I'm so excited about this. Hi, world out there in Facebook Live land. Welcome to, I have to actually read this because I haven't memorized even the name of what we're doing here. It's so typical. Welcome to Innovation to Integration. We're interviews with leaders who have initiated change successfully amidst a world of uncertainty. And so I just want to tell you a little bit about why we're doing this. Over the last few months during shelter at home, my community, our community of business owners, so many of us have had to change the way we're doing things if we want to stay in business. And at first, it was really scary. But what seems to have happened over the last few weeks is that people have been really inspiring in the way that they have seen the opportunities and changed the ways that they're doing things. And so I just thought, if it inspires me, if the people in my life who are completely shifting what they're looking at, how they're delivering their products, how they're delivering their services, shifting their business models, if that's inspiring to me, I can't help but think that it's going to be inspiring to others. So that's why we did this. And I want to introduce our first guest. So she is the first of at least 15 of these that people have raised their hands and said, I have a great story. And so I'm so excited that Leslie is first. Leslie Abrams, in 2010, she quit her full-time job and went to Costa Rica to study how to be a yoga teacher. Okay, if you know anything about Leslie, she is not doing that anymore, because when she came back, she was really looking for a way to show her gratitude and appreciation to the friends and family who supported her through all these decisions. Along her journey, she came back and she started making candles, and she started Yo Soy candles. And what she realized is that there's a power and importance to setting an intention at the beginning of each day that shifts your perspectives and how you choose how to be in the world. So, and that affirmations were really helpful during that time. And so what Leslie has done is she's added affirmations to each and every candle as a natural extension of how she lives in her life and moves forward in her life. So this is really cool. The name of her company is Yo Soy Candles, and it's a play on words. First, it's a Spanish phrase meaning I am, which are two really empowering words that help you create your reality. And every single scent has its own I am statement. And yeah, like I am worthy, exactly. And I love this. All the candles are made 100% from, kosher soy-based wax. The kosher is important to me, I'm Jewish. I was like, that's so cool. I know, I read that. I was like, ooh. Okay, cool. So we're just going to get started. I'm going to just ask Leslie some questions, but I want all of you out there in Facebook land to know, first of all, if you're watching this live, please type in your questions. Meg is in the background. She's actually checking out what you're asking or whatever. So if you have any questions for Leslie, just type them and she'll let us know. And if you're on the replay, you can add questions and we'll answer them. When we see them, we will just answer them. So, okay, first question. I actually want you to tell us a little bit about how you were doing business before any of this started. Like, what was your business before?
Yeah. So first of all, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here with you and honored to be your first guest. And thank you everyone for tuning in. So my business is all product based, and I was mostly selling online, wholesale, and doing lots of markets too. And also a huge thing that was kind of blowing up this year was live workshops. So obviously the live workshops aren't happening anymore. The markets aren't happening anymore. And wholesale is pretty much, non-existent because a lot of shops have closed temporarily and permanently, unfortunately. So I have to depend on online sales now. And online sales were a very, very small part of my business. I would say it was about maybe 30%. And 30% during the coronavirus is just not going to cut it. So I really had to step up my game and really put into perspective, how is this going to look for my business with literally like 4 out of 5 of the things being non-existent right now. So that's primarily where my business was before.
Okay, awesome. That's great. So what was the thought process that you had? Because I know you called me in that first week, right? Leslie and I are friends. And so you called me that first week and you were like, okay, I have this idea and I have this idea, like, but I don't know how to put it in place. So what was your thought process and how many things did you try before you ended up doing it the way you're doing it right now?
Well, okay, so I'm a big time troubleshooter. Like when there's an issue or a problem or something has gone like to total chaos, I immediately am on top of it. I'm like, what can I do? How can I solve this? What do I need to change or shift? And some of my biggest concerns were, of course, the wholesale relationships I have with these shop owners, and I was immediately concerned about them, and I knew they were freaking out in their own way because they had rent to pay, and some of them were maybe going to shut down permanently, and I wasn't sure how to communicate with them. I wasn't sure how to approach them. We were being inundated with like COVID-19 emails, and I just didn't want to be another person who was like, during uncertain times. I didn't want to just like repeat what was showing up in their inbox.
Yeah, totally
annoying, So yes, I called Dana and I was like, how do I talk to my wholesale customers? And I came up with an affiliate program, like per your suggestion. And I emailed everyone and I was like, hey, I'm not making any money from you. You're not making any money from me. Let's work together and try to make this happen to where it works for both of us. And you came up with the brilliant idea of an affiliate link. And I ended up emailing all of my customers and saying like, hey, do you want on board with this? And I can tell you that the orders come through. Pretty much what they do is their customers order online and
it's working. Yeah, wait, I didn't even know that part. It's working.
Slow. And a lot of people didn't respond back because I know business owners are really busy right now and everyone's got their own thing going on, but a lot of people did respond back. So customers order online, they put in a code. Let's say the store is Yo-Yo Yogis, which is a yoga studio I work with here. They'll put in the code Yo-Yo and 40% of the online order will go to the actual shop. Yeah.
It's so exciting.
So that was a way that I can support them. They can support me, and the customers are happy and they're not missing out on getting products from their favorite stores. So that's one pivot, 1 out of 3 pivots. Did I answer? Like I answered.
Yeah, no, that totally. Yeah. So then after that, you had 2 more pivots. So then what happened? So what are the other 2? And how did you come to them?
So my other pivot, which, we can define it as a pivot, but it was really me stepping into my ownership of like who I am, who Yosoi is, and what the actual mission is of my business. So as I mentioned before, all of the candles have I am statements on them. And it's more than just a candle. And for so long, I've been doing this business for 8 years. For so long, I'm trying to highlight that the I am statement is a part of the brand. And it's more than just lighting a candle. It's a ritual, it's healing, it's transformational. And what do we need right now? So I feel like there's high anxiety. People are getting sick or scared of getting sick.
Yeah.
People are uncomfortable. They're confused. There's a lot of stuff going on. And because Yo Soy is about healing and transformation and positive mindset, I immediately reached out to my people on Facebook and said, like, what do you guys need to hear right now? Like, what do you need? And for me personally, I was working with different affirmations to calm me down. And it was, I am calm, I am well, because I was freaking out about, this is like at the beginning when you're just like,
yeah, right?
my throat sore, like, is this headache something, and also feeling really disconnected from people from this social distancing. So I am not alone. So I immediately reached out, said, what do you guys need? And I created a self-care revival kit that had I am calm, I am well, and I am not alone affirmations in it. And it blew up. My sales online were higher than Christmas time.
Yeah, I remember when you told me that, and I was like, wow. That's when you know that something really hits home, right?
Yeah.
Like people really got it, and you stepped into that breach. And one of the things that I love about what you're saying is that it was completely consistent with who you are and the mission of your company, and that and we talked about this before any of this happened, because we were going to do a workshop together about how it's more than just candles. Actually, the candles are the second thought, not the primary thing. They're the carrier of the mission.
Yes.
Right? And you have had this opportunity to actually bring your mission fully alive in a way that that is so clearly obvious now, where it wasn't as obvious then, right?
Exactly. Yep.
I love that. Okay, so what's pivot number 3?
Pivot number 3 is my live workshops. So as Dana just mentioned, we were going to be teaching a workshop together, which I was so excited about at the beginning of April. And of course that got canceled. So, the reason why I came up with these workshops in the first place last February, is because I'm community and connection to other humans and my customers and my friends and just people in general is really, really important to me. And I was finding myself as a maker who was in my sweats all day, in the basement, just covered in wax. Did I brush my teeth today? Talking to the mailman for too long? Like, I was that person. And it just felt really like there was something missing. There was something missing in my life. And so I'm coming off of a 7-year yoga teaching career where I was engaged with people all the time and watching them before my eyes transform. I would get little love letters. I would see people all the time. And I really missed that feeling, but I didn't want to teach yoga again. So I came up with these workshops, self-discovery through candle making, and it pretty much is Yo Soy's mission in a workshop. And of course, with the coronavirus, I can't teach them anymore, right? And we were candle making, so I wasn't gonna mail out candle kits, and it just didn't feel aligned. So I was going through a process of how can I fill this need that I have to be engaged with community, but also still give people the benefit that they were receiving from these workshops, because there was a lot of shift happening. And I talked to some of my mentors, one of them being Rachel O'Rourke from Spark, who is just so
Rachel.
Amazing. I hope you're watching, Rachel. Shout out. And a bunch of other friends and people in my community, my small business community. And I ended up coming up with a new workshop that I'm actually teaching online tonight. It's called I Am Ritual. And instead of candle making, I mailed everyone 3 I Am blank candles. So we do the whole ritual part. We do the visualization lots of journaling, and there's going to be some community engagement as well, like some breakout rooms. And in the end, everyone gets to fill out their own I am statements for a ritual. And the main topic tonight is, how are you envisioning this new world for yourself and for us? How are you going? What is your position in this new paradigm that we are creating? So I was able to take the workshop online. We'll see how it goes. But I was able to shift there, and it sold out very, very quickly. So I'm very pleased about that. And I'm feeling pretty good about that pivot.
That's awesome. Janelle is, is it Janelle? Yeah, Janelle is saying, I'm looking forward to being a part of your workshop tonight. Okay,
Yes,
we're gonna check this thing out.
Wonderful to have you. I'm now seeing the live comments, so I needed to switch over.
Yeah, and then Jennifer too. She's all like, I can't wait! Woohoo!
So Jennifer and Janelle are part of Spark, which is run by Rachel O'Rourke, and they've been a huge inspiration and support system for me. So thank you, ladies.
Yeah. So has this cost you, like, how much of an investment, if any, have you had to put into shifting your model?
Not much. It's my $15.99 subscription to Zoom. And honestly, no, if anything, I'm saving so much because, I mean, we're all saving a lot because we're spending money on food and, of course, supporting our local people when we can. And yeah, there really hasn't been much of an investment, honestly.
Yeah, that's really cool. I was thinking about the online workshop. There's already people here going, I hope you're going to do it again. Right? Yeah. And
yes,
because, and this has been true for me as well, when I went from doing live talks and stuff and having clients to just doing everything on the phone. Mm-hmm. Right? Because I coach on the phone. So all of a sudden the world opens up and there's a possibility you can go beyond Portland. You can go beyond being in a room together, right?
Exactly.
It's very, very cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of silver lining with this. And, being online, we can expand. And online's always been here. Like, this platform has been here for a long time, and it's like, now we're like, oh, I'm actually getting more comfortable here because we don't have any other choice, right? So we work with what we have. And I think that's a huge lesson in everything that's happening right now, too.
Absolutely, right? It's almost like the question, if this is how it's going to be, and you and I both know or believe that things aren't going back to the way they were, right? Like, some things will show up the way they were, but in general, things are going to be different moving forward. Exactly. And the question that has been really helpful for me is, if this is the way the future is going to be, what are you not doing now that you would be doing if this was just the way it was going to stay all the time? Do you know?
That's a good question. Yeah, that's a great question to ask yourself. Absolutely.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so I want to go back to money because, we're business owners. So let's go back to money.
Let's talk about money.
Let's talk about money. Let the money rain down. So how are you doing financially compared to how you were doing before? So I know it was like Christmas, right? Like, all these products showed up. And is it continuing in that way? Are you, like, what does the projections or your forecast look if really things don't change?
Yes. So that's a thing that I think about. That I have to almost be 3 months ahead of myself, is how's the next quarter going to look? How are the holidays going to look? We don't know. Fortunately, I did get accepted for the payroll protection program. So I was able to get some money from that. I'm on payroll and I'm the only employee, so I have to keep my payroll up. So the PPP was really helpful in that, and I'm very grateful to receive that money. So, honestly, sales, I would say, for the month of March and April were higher than they normally would have been, which is amazing. Like, I am so grateful for all the support with my community, friends, and just people spreading the word. So I feel like March and April, I'm safe, I'm good. May is a little, I think after Mother's Day, which was just on Sunday, it definitely died off a little bit this week. And I'm really trying to not freak out about that, because this is a thing with very common with business owners. We're like, where's the money going to come from this month? And we're constantly thinking about it. And I'm really trying to have a little bit of grace with myself and patience, and just say, like, I trust that everything's going to be okay. And my community is here to support me. Yosoi is a great product, and I think that I trust myself, I trust my community, and I trust that I'm supported.
Can I say something about that? Can I say something about that?
Yes, please.
I really believe that the universe is on our side.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And the thing that often stops it from showing up on our side is not being clear about what it is that we want.
Yeah.
And I do want to say something about the money, but for those of you who are watching, like, it's really cool to watch all of you be here. Like, Nathaniel, oh my gosh, I can't believe you're here. And Janelle and Harley, this is great. And yes, definitely, Harley, order another candle for sure. But you guys, if you have, what do you want to know about the pivot and the shift in how Leslie's doing her business? Like, what are the things that you're curious about when it comes to thinking about your own business, and how you would, or how would you even come to a place where you know what questions to ask or how to follow the intention, right? So if you ask them, then we'll get back to you, but I want those to be there because I know there's a delay. And so I'm going to ask you this about the money. And as a business coach, right, business strategist, like, I know that most of us, we feel often like we live on this roller coaster. But what I love about what you've done is that you focused on individual orders and wholesale orders first. Mm-hmm. And now, which is exactly what you did when you first put your business online, right? Like, I mean, just when you first brought your business to be, mm-hmm. and then you started the workshops. Mm-hmm. And so now you've started the workshops. And I think that there was a time, I remember, where we were talking about this, and you weren't sure that the workshops were going to bring in any money. Remember, this was like a year and a half ago or something. Yeah. You're like, I don't know. And then they did. They started taking on more importance in the business between those big holidays where people buy things, where you were showing at events. Mm-hmm. So it's just starting, right, tonight. It's just the beginning. And there's a whole, like, I get the fear, and I love that you're like, oh yeah, wait, take a deep breath. There's no reason to get scared yet, right? There's no reason to get scared. You have this whole other line of the whole point of your business actually is just starting tonight.
Yeah.
So cool.
Thank you.
Have you scheduled more?
I have not scheduled more. I want to see how this one goes. And I wanted to cut off, I say sold out when it's like 500 people can be on Zoom, but I wanted to cut it off at 25 so I can fit everyone on a screen. Because one of my biggest concerns when teaching a workshop in general, but also online, is that everyone is present and engaged. And also, like, recognizing that there are other people there that are in the same position as them. So just a community aspect. So, that part makes me a little nervous on Zoom, honestly, because my workshops are really engaged. We share. Sometimes we partner up. So that's something that I'm so curious to see how that goes. And we have such a great group tonight. So I have no doubt that they're just going to bring all their good energy and be really present. So, I'm going to see how it goes. And I already have some interest in private groups, which is really exciting, but I'm just kind of waiting to see how tonight goes. But I feel really good about it so far.
Yeah, we're going to do one, right? We're going to do a Nourish one for sure.
Yes,
I can't wait. We'll replace it. Okay, so Cooper has a question. Okay, I love this.
Hi, Cooper.
We can just put him up here. So do you think you would have pivoted so well if you hadn't had a need, if you weren't pushed into it by the situation?
No. I think we all went into this like, oh shit, I got to do something now mode, and something that you helped me with, Dana, which I wanted to mention earlier, is when we go into this place of fear and we try to create from a space of fear, then it doesn't work out. Like it just comes off as a little desperate. And I was really concerned about that. And I had to sit with myself for a while and just be like, Leslie, why are you doing this? And when I was creating this workshop, I mean, it took me probably a month and a half to actually put it out there, because I was asking myself, am I doing this just for money? Am I doing this because I feel I have to, and then I put it away for a little while. I like put my notebook away and I was like, I don't know if I should do this. And then something hit me where I was like, this is like, we need this right now. And I think it was when we got over the hump of like, what is this new world going to look like? And everyone stopped being so crazy and scared, and we got to this space. So I think that we're dealing with real live problems right now, and it's shifting every single day. So I'm kind of just being present and hanging with that and coming up with ideas and solutions through my business as this time goes by,
Don't you think so? So people may hate me for saying this, but I think it's really true, right? Like, there's so many awful things that are an outcome of this, right? People losing their jobs, people going hungry, people dying, all of that stuff. But without discounting any of the pain, if we can see that it's been in some ways a gift, especially for really for entrepreneurs only because they're my community and they're y'all are the people that I talk to all the time. But I'm seeing this also in other choices that people have made in professional circles or whatever, where it's a coming to terms with who are we, and what is it that we want our life to be about? How have our choices? Are our choices still the choices we would make? It's like giving us this time to really dig in. And I'm noticing that even more now, once the intense fear has dropped, so that so much of your emotional wherewithal, at least in my case, so much of it was taken up with just keeping me calm.
Yeah.
Right. And to lower the stress.
Yeah.
But now people, and I'm finding for me too, is digging deeper into, does my life look the way I want it to look? What's missing? What am I tolerating? Right. And so I really get what you were saying. Okay. So, Devon, I don't know what you have to write that question in a full sentence because I don't know what the question is. Okay. Jimmy asked, let's see if it'll show up. I love this technology. It's so cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. So how do you even come to a place where you know what questions to ask about the future?
First of all, hey girl, hey. Jimmy's one of my best friends back in Atlanta, also an entrepreneur who's been making some major pivots as well. So how do you come to a place where you know what questions to ask about the future right now? I think we're clearing out a lot of distractions and clutter right now. And I think getting to that place of just sitting still. And also, when you're running around all day doing your thing and something pops in your head, take a moment to stop and stay with that idea or thought for a minute. Maybe grab a piece of paper and write it down if you need to come back to it later. And that's a lot. I've been doing that a lot. Like, I keep a notebook pretty much in every single room of the house. And if something pops in there, I write it down and I'm like, I don't have time to think about this now any further. I'm going to come back to it. Sometimes I lose the piece of paper. Sometimes it's right there and I do some journaling on it. But I think when those intuitions pop in your brain, take a moment and say, I see you, I'll be right back. Can
I say something about writing it down? It turns out the way the brain works, that if you have a thought that you are trying to hold on to or remember, and you don't put it somewhere that you can come back to it, your brain will actually cycle through that comment or in order to remember it. Like almost every 20 minutes, it's going to start, it'll hit you in the head, but not in a inspiring way, in a really annoying way.
Yeah.
And then eventually you forget. But as soon as you write it down, it takes it out of the cycle. So your brain again can focus on the stuff that you're doing.
Yeah.
So writing it down has so many other implications. It's other than really like looking deep into yourself and asking yourself the questions. Just that one little tidbit, write things down when you are having an idea that you want to remember, because you will do your brain a service.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you're feeling empty in your brain, if you're like, there's nothing coming in, I mean, what is this virus teaching us? Patience, like so much patience and flexibility. It's like, just be open and patient. And if you need to put it all down, put the work away and go outside or do something else, just do it, then you might get some ideas.
Yep. Janelle, we're going to come back to your question about the future and if it goes back to normal, what she's going to do, because that we're going to get there. So I'm not ignoring you. Jennifer Williams is asking, was there one choice you made that you can pinpoint that made the difference with your business, not only surviving, but thriving?
I'll go back to this engagement with our community. So, we have Facebook, which is like a blessing in so many ways and can also be like horrible and distracting in so many ways. And I was a person who I never really posted on my personal page, especially business stuff, because I'm like, I don't want to come off as salesy or whatever. And I was inspired by a lot of people in the community, communicating through their Facebook page and just showing up authentically and talking about what they were excited about. Mm-hmm. And I even put a post out probably back in January or February and was like, hey, Facebook fam, like, I'm going to start posting more and like sharing my life. Like, is that okay with you? And so many people were on board. They were like, yes, we want to know. And like, on my Facebook is like every freaking person I know and their friends and like my family and like people that I've traveled with 10 years ago, and it's pretty much everyone I know. So it's the best platform to talk about your life. Yep. And I think my conversation and engagement there has really helped my business thrive in so many ways. So Jen, I hope that answers your question. I mean, it's these small little things where we, just open up our minds and go, oh, I should talk about my life more and what I'm passionate about. And everyone's on Facebook now. Like everyone's just all like Facebook every day, all day, so why not express yourself and talk about what you're excited about and get people excited with you.
Totally. And this whole thing, it's so cool that that's the thing that shifted for you, that you really saw, because so many of us for such a long time, and still I think people don't talk about business on their Facebook page as if they're compartmentalized humans, as if they have a life and they have a business, and somehow those two things are not integrated. Mm-hmm. People, we are one person. Right? There's no weird dividers in our heads or in our lives that keep us separate. And how we are in our life is everything. Like, we're the same everywhere. And so if we're holding ourselves back and not having conversations with the people who think we're important enough to actually be connected with us on social media, right? If they didn't want to know who we were and what we thought and what's important to us, they would just unfriend us.
Right.
Right? I mean, my unfriend finger has gotten a lot of workout this last month. Oops, aside.
Yeah, good. I mean, you can clear the, like, filter out the noise. And
exactly.
Yeah. And also, something I want to add there is engaging with your people on Facebook. So asking questions. Like, when I launched the self-care revival kit, I asked people what they needed. Like, what do they need to hear right now? What are they struggling with? And I got like 80 something comments. Like, people were all about it. And it's like we were having a conversation, and I was getting like some really good intel and insight on what my customers and just people in life needed right now, so it works. It really works.
Yeah. You feel held, right? Because we're in our houses. We're not spending time with our friends. And for those of us who are socially distancing, visiting our friends from the sidewalk, right? Or who can do that, that's great, but it still is missing something. And so in times like this, you really feel held by the people who are connected with you in the places that you hang out. I always call Facebook my neighborhood. Facebook is my neighborhood. This is where I hang out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. it's awesome. Okay, so Devon answered, actually wrote her question out, but now it's a paragraph. So let's see if it will work. I think it's going to be, there we go. She's pregnant. Yay, Devon. Okay, so have you noticed any breaks in your supply line for your soy, for your materials at all?
Thankfully, no. So I actually sourced the glass that I put the candles in. It's right up the street. I live in Northeast Concordia area. It's right on 33rd. And because they're so wonderful and they pre-order pallets for me, because I checked in like the beginning of all this in March, and I was like, hey guys, like what's, and they get their stuff from a supplier in the US, which it may end up transferring to overseas, but they were all stocked up. They reached out to me like immediately and was like, you're good. And I actually have seen no disruption, thank goodness. But I know a lot of makers are dealing with disruptions. So again, like if that's the case, like you have to pivot big time. Like, think if I couldn't get the glass or the wax or the wicks or something. But a lot of my stuff is sourced in the US and made in the US. So that's pretty helpful.
That's really awesome.
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens, right? So far, that's true. I actually want to go back to a conversation. I have a question about your workshops online. That was, a few minutes ago. But when you were doing it live and making candles in the room, what you were also doing is having people be able to pick their scents, right? And make the 3 candles that they were going to walk off with the scent that they wanted. So when you mailed these 3 candles out to each of your participants, did you ask them what scent they wanted? No, you just chose.
I chose for them, and the choosing was intentional. It's not just what I had in stock. It was like, and I know a lot of the people in the workshop, so I was like kind of feeling their energy. And then there are several people that I don't know that are coming, and I hope everyone enjoys what they received. But I kind of put it in this this view of like, we're living in a state of mystery. And our options are so much more slim right now, like we're rotating between the same 4 things on like how we can spend our evenings, and I kind of wanted to put them in a state of mystery and also openness and flexibility to what they were receiving,
That's great. I love that. I love this whole idea of tuning in, right? The more we tune in, I was having a conversation with a client yesterday, actually, but talking about the 3 brains that we have in our bodies. And it's one of my favorite subjects, that there are actually brain cells in your heart. There are actually real brain cells in your gut, and they are responsible for holding on to different information. Like in your heart, they hold on to long-term memories, and in your gut, it really is a physical, intuition is a physical feeling, a physical sensation of your body, like giving you some hints about what you should be doing or not doing, or decision making and all that. So it's kind of cool.
Very cool.
But I love that people are dropping in there. Okay, so Nathaniel wants to go back to Facebook. He has a question about Facebook. How do you find the balance between curating your Facebook community and not spending your life on your phone?
Great question. Really great question. If anybody has an answer.
He's a rocket scientist, so, you know.
So, Nathaniel, this was one of my biggest concerns in posting personally. I had this huge aversion, and I still kind of do, to Instagram especially. But I was like, man, if I am like posting all the time, then that means I'm checking the comments all the time. And then I'm on Facebook all the time. And I'm telling myself this as I say it out loud, boundaries. You say, if you post something, you give yourself an hour or 30 minutes. You set a timer on your phone. You can now set alerts saying like, you're done on Facebook for today, and just say I'm not spending more than 2 hours on social media a day. Obviously, that takes a lot of willpower, but I would say like, tell your phone to tell you that it's time to shut it down, you can come back to it another time. But also if you miss a comment, like people understand, right? Like if you don't like their comment, like it's understandable. So I think that we don't need to obsessively check what people are saying unless it's important, or just give ourselves a time frame.
I think it also really helps if you choose your platform. Like instead of trying to be all of them and manage the community in all of them, pick the one that speaks to you, right? That actually, like Facebook is my neighborhood, as I said. I do post on LinkedIn, but I don't really hang out there. And, I don't go in there multiple times a day and look to see what people are doing. I just don't. It just doesn't resonate with me. Yeah. And I tried Instagram as an experiment for a while, realized that the way that community is built also doesn't fill me up.
Right.
So I'm back here in Facebook because this is where we have conversations, and and Twitter works great for my husband. It doesn't work at all for me. Like I just hate Twitter. But you have to choose, just like in your life, like you have to choose, right? You have to make decisions that create boundaries so that your life is not chaos.
Yeah, I agree.
Totally. Okay. So I think I have 2 more questions. The one question is, what have you learned about yourself, about your business?
Still always learning. And one of my biggest lessons is patience. I said that earlier. Flexibility, major flexibility. And as I mentioned earlier as well, like we're living with like live problems right now and shifts, and, we might, like all the retail might close down and this virus might come back. And like, we just need to be really, really open. And one of my favorite quotes is, you have a plan and then you have what actually happens, right? And, at the beginning of this, back in April, my husband and I were closing on our very first home. And my husband lost his job in a matter of 24 hours with, no like, hey, this is we're laying off people. Like it just happened very quickly. And we lost our house. We lost our loan. And it was heartbreaking. It was so heartbreaking. And one of the biggest parts, which has to do with my business, is this home had a separate converted garage that I was going to make a workshop space, which was going to totally change my business. And this had been a vision of mine for a long time. And I had to go, nope, like I dreamed that dream and it was right in front of me. And then it just disintegrated into thin air, and I can't move forward with that dream anymore, not at least right now. So I need to pivot and try something else. And that took a lot of acceptance of like what is actually happening. And also a lot of recognition of like privilege, and I'm still working through a lot of emotions around that, but mostly it's like nothing is set in stone. Like nothing is permanent. Everything can change in an instant. And we have to be really open and flexible and graceful and show ourselves some kind of like gentleness and kindness when something doesn't go to plan, So there's no one to be mad at here,
I'm getting tingles, how like that happens, goosebumps, because that's so true. And, when I think about just being in your circle and watching you navigate the heartbreak and the amazing stuff that you've been doing around your business, I don't know whether you can see it, but I will say that you are one of the most inspiring human beings in my life right now. And just watching you not be caught by what's happening.
Yeah.
And that's not to mean that you're not taking it in and that you're not feeling your feelings, because that's essential, right? If you don't feel your feelings about it, then it just stays there and it keeps you from looking forward.
Yeah.
But you've been able to act, to really be willing. You're willing to feel the sadness and the heartbreak and the upset and grieve and mourn the dream of what was, so that you can then see the dream of what is coming.
Yeah.
Or what is possible.
Yeah.
And it makes me I feel so honored to be your friend.
Oh.
And yeah, really, like,
you cry on live TV.
It's okay. Crying is human.
I feel the same about you, Dana, and you've been on this journey with me for so long, and I feel really honored to be by your side here, and you've given me so much wisdom and insight. So feeling is mutual, sister.
Yeah. Okay, so if everything were to go back to normal tomorrow, or the way, I'm going to stop saying that. If everything were going to go back to the way that it had been, or when and if we get the opportunity to hang out with other people in close quarters, will you keep doing things the way you're doing them now, or will you take it back to the way that it was?
I'll still be wearing sweatpants until the end of time, so that's not changing. There are a lot of things that will change, that I'll continue to engage and put my mission forward with confidence, and knowing that it is helping so many people. That will not change. If anything, I've become more clear on that, and having more conversations around that. Again, I'm going to wait to see how this online workshop goes, to see if I'll continue that. I'm really excited that a lot of my old yoga students and friends from Atlanta are coming tonight. Like, that wouldn't happen otherwise. And my sister from Atlanta is going to be there. And like, that's very exciting to me. So I'm going to see how it goes. I still am craving that, external like hugs and having everyone in a room together. So that will definitely, resume when we go back to normal. And I think yes and no. I think I feel more clear. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. And Janelle, I totally agree with you. I don't know if I'm going to start wearing bras again either. My husband would really like it if I never wore a bra again. Don't tell anybody. Oh my God, this has been amazing. Really fun. And just for all of you who are still left here watching, this is the first time that Leslie or I have done a Facebook Live ever in our lives. So this is Like we were virgins before we hit the go live button.
Pop that cherry.
Yep, there we go. And here we are. It's been great. Thank you all so much for contributing questions and for commenting. I know we didn't get to all of them, but I will go back and reply to everybody. And thank you, Leslie, for being so brave and being number one, like the first one. Thank you so much for being willing to do this with me.
Yes, my absolute pleasure. Mwah. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Again.